Welcome back to Big Mama's house today, y'all. I am here with Papa,
Hello, everybody.
and we're just
Hello,
gonna
everybody. Sorry.
chat a little bit about some stuff that's been popping up in our little pea brains here lately. One of the big ones is we finally got to see the second Avatar movie, the new one. And spoiler alert, we're going to be talking about the movie. If you have not seen it, fast forward a little bit because we're going to be talking about it. Now, because it had been such a long time that we saw Avatar, we watched the first one, which is a really long movie, and we couldn't sit through two really long movies in a day, so we watched the second one the next day. And I've always been a fan of the movie, and I think, especially when it was made 14 years ago, it was the height of technology and acting mixed together. Amazing, especially because it was in 3D at the time. But I don't watch 3D movies because they give me migraines, so that kind of sucks for me. But my dad and my uncle saw it in the theater in 3D, and I think they went a couple times to see it.
They really like that movie.
Yeah, and that's unusual
They
for
sing
them.
it all the time.
Yeah, so we're gonna see them this Saturday for Father's Day. So I will ask them if they have seen the second one, and we'll let y'all know what they think. But
Or they can.
yeah, we're gonna try and talk them into doing a podcast. We'll see how that works
Yeah,
out.
they can tell you what they think of it.
Yeah. But I was very nervous watching the second one because the first one was so good. I was afraid it couldn't, compete. But I was wrong. The visual world was just gorgeous. It made us wish it was real so we could live there.
Yeah.
It made us hate humans, kind of like we do now, because a lot of them are evil.
We don't hate humans.
The bad ones, which is way too many people.
Yeah, we don't hate anybody at Big Mama's house.
Well, it's a figure of speech. I will change my phrase. I am very leery and suspicious of a lot of people because we've been screwed over several times. And if you've got any kind of technology in your life, you've been hit up by some sort of scam.
Yeah.
Email, text, Facebook, anywhere.
Your bank account.
Yeah, people hacking and do crap on our debit cards a lot. But
jokes on them sometimes.
Right, because we have no money.
Yeah.
But Avatar: The Way of Water was. I'm a water baby. Anything with water, and I'm in. So I was very in touch with this movie, and we know it's set up for the third part of the trilogy.
There's gonna be three of them
at the end.
Yeah.
And I cried. I'm not gonna lie. I cried like a little baby when their son died. Again, that's a big spoiler, so sorry, y'all. I did warn you at the beginning. I don't know how anyone else felt, but we knew something bad was gonna happen, and we kept saying it's one of the kids, something's gonna happen.
See, I didn't cry because I expected it. Now, if the whale guy, right, if the whale would have died,
Yeah,
then it would have been a little bit different because I wouldn't have been I would have thought maybe it would have happened to him, the whale saving,
right. Dying to save them.
Save them, yes, dying to save them, like sacrificing himself. But he didn't, and I didn't cry.
I did, just because anytime a child dies and the mother is sobbing and hysterical, I'm a mom, and it hits me in my feels. And the day before, part of it is also the perimenopause because it makes me very emotional sometimes. And like the day before, I watched Queen Charlotte, and I cried at the end of that too.
Now, with women getting menopause, do men get womenopause?
No, it's called menopause.
Why? That was a joke.
I know.
It was a joke.
Because men really do. They go through a similar hormonal change, where their testosterone lowers.
So I'm going to go through another change?
Oh, well, that was a big one. This one is just more hormonal. Do you want to tell everyone out there about your first big change?
No.
You don't want to tell them how we met?
Mama, you can do that later, not now. We're talking about Avatar.
Okay, well, stay tuned. We'll talk about that in a little bit. Um, like I said, the visual effects were just amazing. The I firmly believe that, Lord help me, I cannot. I'm in the midst of a
Mind fog, brain fog.
yeah, autoimmune flare, and so the brain fog is awful. I apologize. Um, the older daughter, Kiri,
I
I think it
think
was
so.
Kiri.
Yes.
I'm telling you, because she was the daughter of Grace, who was
Sigourney Weaver, the doctor.
yes, who Sigourney Weaver played her, and she died, but they kept her avatar alive in the tube
The
of
tube thing. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
and she was born without a father. And I'm thinking that when they hooked Grace up to Awa, trying to move her spirit into her avatar at the at the end of the
Yeah.
first one, that Awa was like sad because she couldn't save Grace, so she gave her a child. I'm thinking that is why she's so connected spiritually to everything.
Yeah.
Um, I that's what I think. That's my theory, and it'll probably come out more in the third movie. Um, Now me personally, I was really rooting for Spider. Okay,
Oh, yeah, and Spider, you'll find out Spider, like when you
the
watch it later on.
the
Spider
human kid who
is a big
was
part of
raised and basically grew up with all of
the avatars
um
in Pandora.
with the children of Jake Sully and his wife. I'm sorry. Give me a sec. Bear with me.
No, I'm bearing with you. Bear
Trying
with
to
me because
push through the fog. Um, you interrupted me and I lost my train of thought. What was I saying? Oh,
Jake Sully.
Spider grew up with the kids, and so he kind of considered himself one of them more than a human. And but I was like totally with him the whole movie. And then at the very end,
We're not going to tell him who Spider is, though. We'll leave that to.
he chose to save Colonel Douchebag.
But we're not going to say who he is.
But why?
Well, no, because we got to let some of the. No, because even though this is going to be like posted later on, and probably 70-80% of the people have seen it by then, right? I still don't want to ruin everything for him.
Okay.
Okay, fine. He's the Colonel's son.
Oh my goodness. Make up your mind. This is what I live with, you guys. The man changes his mind quicker than a thought. I mean, it's like, yes, no, yes, maybe, I don't know, kind of,
We're not
whatever.
running laps today. And 5 minutes later, run a lap.
Right?
Remember them days?
I remember those days.
Yeah.
But yeah, he chose to save the Colonel Douchebag. And I was just like, and I know it's just bring him back for the third one, but it really made me go, Spider. Like I get his thought. He's like, he's still alive. He is technically my father, sort of, kind of. Um,
At least has his father's brain.
right, and he obviously, the Colonel Douchebag obviously had some sort of parental feelings for Spider because he didn't want him to be killed. So, I don't know. It just makes me think that maybe Spider's going to go bad in the next one.
I don't think Spider's gonna go. You know, he might go bad. He might actually end up being like a colonel might die, and it'd be like a Spider-Man type thing. You know, the first one where James Franco's dad, died, and
Yeah.
James Franco took over in the second one.
To get revenge.
Yes, it could be something like that.
But Colonel Douchebag is evil. I mean,
So
he
was
saw
the
what
Green
he
Goblin.
did.
So was the Green Goblin.
I don't want to talk about
I'm just making comparisons.
Spider-Man right now.
I'm making comparisons.
I can only keep so many things in my brain right now.
Just a comparison.
But yeah, you're right. I mean, I could be, but I really, that would be a huge disappointment. It would make me hate the movie because the whole point is they're trying to get rid of the evil, the bad humans. They let the good humans stay, and do whatever. But they're just they ruin their own planet, which is exactly what we're doing to our own. Yeah. And that's why they're taking over Pandora, and that's not okay. It's just not. And nothing will ever change my mind about that. If you can't integrate into that society that that you want to live in, and like make a truce, or make some sort of agreement with the leaders of like, yes, we're going to live respectfully of the land, and be respectful of you and how you live. That's how you should do it.
I mean, almost like the Pilgrims and Indians.
Exactly. And I kept telling you the whole time, the way that they set it up, it reminds me of a mix of American Indians and black slaves, you know, because of the tribal nature and the way that they value what you can contribute.
Yeah.
Everyone does their part, and they live peacefully, and they even the dangerous creatures in the forest or in the water, they do their very best not to kill, and if they have to kill like for food or whatever, or in battle if like something attacks them, they understand that like that's not a happy thing, it's a sadness, because everything is God's.
Yeah.
And they're all connected. So that's just my thought. Because that's how I feel about the world. You should try to leave it a little bit better than you found it in anything.
And unfortunately, that's not happening.
And a lot of people don't think that way. They don't have any respect for other people, their cultures, their way of life. And that is a huge issue in our country, with people who immigrate here. And I understand when you live, my point, like when you move into someone else's homeland, okay, you need to be respectful of that, okay? People who are moving here, they're not asking us to change and be like them. They just want to have a chance. And so, like, whenever the Sullys ended up having to move to the water
world,
yeah. area,
mm-hmm.
which it does remind me of Waterworld a lot, the way they set it up. They chose to take them, and they're like, but you need to learn to be like us to live here. And they were like, that's great. Whatever we need to do in order to.
And they did.
And that's the whole thing, is that you should try to contribute to wherever you are. Again, leave it a little bit better than you found it. What do you think?
No, I mean, I agree. I agree with you. And that's what the Scullies did. They actually went there. Of course, the kids are going to be kids, right? They're going to
argue. Asshole kids.
Bullies are going to be bullies. They're going to bully each other.
And they're going to miss their home.
Exactly. They're going to test each other's, restraint and strength. Okay. But overall, at the very end, I believe they all worked. Yeah. They all came together, and I believe they, in the third one, we're going to see both, the land and the water.
Yeah.
Tribes.
The forest people. And
forest people and the water people are going to come together, and they're going to be.
That would be amazing.
They'll be one big fan, even though they're like miles away. I believe.
Yeah, I think they flew like 2 or 3 days to get there.
Yeah, something like that. So I mean, but they'll still be allies.
That would be amazing, because.
And I was hoping that was going to happen.
Like they said at the end, their son was buried there, and so now they are
part of our family.
Sea people, and their family now. And I wish, with all of my heart, that real humans in our world could live like that. Everybody gave what they could to help others. Like, okay.
I'm going to tell you why there's a difference.
Okay.
It's green.
Right, yes, of course.
That is the only difference between, well, I mean, it's a big difference, okay?
It's huge.
Because in Pandora and Avatar area, there is no money.
Correct.
Right? They have to, their way of living is like our old
originally, they invaded Pandora because of money.
Well, the humans.
To get to that whatever metal it was that was under the home tree.
The humans did.
Yes,
I'm talking about the water
Avatar people.
Yes, I'm talking about them. The humans did. Yeah, we're greedy.
Yeah.
We see if there's a place to make money, we're invading it. We're going to burn it all down. We're going to kill whatever's in the way, and we're taking it.
Well, that's what happened in America.
Oh, yeah.
Native Americans were here, and we just were like, nope, fuck you, get out.
You know what we do now? We eat turkey, and we celebrate that day.
Well, I choose to think of it as a day to be thankful and be appreciative.
As family.
A lot of people aren't thankful every day. Like, we've been hit some really hard times lately. And my motto of how to get through it without losing my mind is you have to be thankful for what you have, not for what you don't have.
I mean, we're doing fine. We're getting through it.
And we will. It's very, very difficult, but um, we will manage. We always have, and we always will because we stick together. That's another reason why the Sullys kind of resonated with me because it says Sullys stick together, you know, and that's how we feel about our family. But they were like Sully was adopted by the forest people.
Yeah.
Okay,
He was human at first.
he had to become one of them and become trusted, learn their, and once you learn about those people and he learned about them, he learned to value the way they believed, and that's why he wanted to become one of them. And then when they got ran out of their home, again by the evil humans, and had to go to the sea people, again, they had to convert again. And he's always kind of been astray, taken in by other people.
Yeah, because he was like that with the army, right?
Yes.
He was in, because his twin
The
brother
Marine.
died, Marines. His twin brother died, right? And then they wanted him because they had the same
DNA.
as his twin brother to put in that avatar. So they didn't really. He didn't want to be there.
Initially he did because he wanted to gain the favor of that general douchebag so that he could get his legs back. Because he promised him to get his legs fixed because he was paralyzed after some sort of battle wound. I'm not sure, but strays. We've had a lot of strays over the years.
Yeah.
Animals, people. I can't count the number of animals we've had that have shown up on our door.
We did tell them about all of them in that one episode earlier.
But we've also had stray people.
Yeah. Yes.
We over the years have had quite a few people stay with us because they were homeless or whatever reason.
And none of it ended up good. It all ended bad.
Well, okay. The people that your ex-coworkers who were you were their manager.
Yes.
They stayed with us around Christmas time one year.
And let me tell you something. They were our friends first.
Yes.
Right. They had a job, same place I did. They didn't show up for work. Didn't call, so I had to fire them. This is around Christmas time. They were living in their van, and so I just went up to them. I said, for Christmas holiday, so you're not living in a van down by the river, you can stay with us for the Christmas holiday. And it worked out for both parties to a point. Sorry, Mallow had her appendicitis. So
they were at our home with Lizard, because she was like 5 or 6 at the time. She was
very young, too young to make food.
Maybe 7. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, the female one, the girl that stayed with us, she was surprised that she had to like cook for Lizard because she was like, "Well, can't she make her own food?" And we're like, "No."
7.
Yeah, no, that's not what happens in our house. Children don't do the cooking.
But they ended up stealing from us, and so we had it was like cigarettes and stuff they stole.
Yeah, it's not the fact that if they would have asked, I would have happily given them whatever they wanted. But it was like they would just take things and then deny taking them.
Yeah, and so I still talk to them when I see them.
I don't blame them. They're not bad people. They were just very young. And
now they have a family of their own. Now they have kids and everything now.
And I don't think they ever really had anybody to like show them a right way to live. I'm not going to say right because everybody's different situations. It is what it is. But it just wasn't the way we were used to living.
I will say they were the best of the strays.
Yeah. And then at one point when Mallow was in high school, I think it was, one of her friends got kicked out of her house. And she stayed with us for months so that she could go to school and stuff. That when she ended up going back home eventually, but that was different having 3 teenagers in the house at once.
It wasn't bad.
No.
Actually, maybe that was probably the best one. Best story of all of them.
But at least she was thankful.
Yeah.
She was glad to have somewhere to go that wasn't a bad situation, And then
whole coworker thing, that was the best it could end up being. I did fire them.
Right.
They fired themselves and didn't show up and call.
all you have to do is pick up the phone.
Yeah.
You know.
But I guess that was the best way.
But when you no call, no show, what do you expect?
That was the best way it could have ended.
So, but like you said, they're doing better. They're married now, kids of their own, and they're doing good now. So that's that's the best we can hope for.
And we had your half brother,
I had my stepbrother,
brother.
staying with it. He stayed twice. The first time he stayed because he got kicked out of my dad's house after my stepmother died, and he didn't have anywhere to go. So I took him in. We took him in.
Yeah.
And eventually he moved, but he moved out not too like a couple months later to live with some girl. And I'm like, you just met this chick and you're moving in with her? What the hell? But you do you, whatever. And then it wasn't very long after he came back because it's like I said, you don't know these people. Um, and then that's when you had lost your job at the place where you had worked with the other couple, where you were their manager.
Yeah.
And it was because your dad had a stroke.
Yeah.
And it was, okay, we've talked a lot about the fair we have here, and it was that weekend, okay? And the owner of the place he works said anybody who calls out this weekend is getting fired.
Well, her and I had this discussion Friday morning, okay? And she told me, she goes, what do you think? She goes, anybody that calls out this weekend, all right, we fire them. And I'm like, all right, Now thinking Friday night, I was going to get a call from my brother telling me my dad had a stroke.
Right. A really, really bad stroke. They didn't know he was going to make it.
And exactly. And they live in the Northeast, and we were in the Midwest, and it's quite a ways away. And so I told my boss that night, she goes, what about this festival? I'm trying to think of
the fair. Yeah.
The fair, yeah. And I'm like, well, it's my family. My dad had a stroke, and I need to go. And she's like, what about the parade tomorrow? And she didn't even care about my situation.
No.
So I said, fine. I'm like, I'll stay till Sunday. I'm like,
no,
Saturday night. I'm like, Saturday night after my shift,
we have to go.
I'll go. And then she said, fine. She says, just leave. She goes to me. She goes, just leave your key so we can train this other lady to be a manager. And I'm like, okay. I'm thinking to myself, okay, that's not good.
And while you were working, I was finding, because I didn't want the kids to go in case because when you go for something emergency like that, it's not for small children.
They were young anyway.
Yeah, and they had school. And so I had a friend of mine from work. She was willing, she didn't even live in the same town, but she was willing to drive them to school every day and bring them home with her in the evening while we were gone.
We were there a week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we had no money. We were sleeping in your brother's. No,
It was.
Yeah, we stayed with your brother's house, because he was single at the time. So I don't know. He slept somewhere. Maybe
it's been all. I don't remember.
But we were staying in his bed, and it was a really rushed, horrible situation. I was trying to pack and get the kids organized and everything while you were doing this, and we were both really stressed that we couldn't leave immediately.
Yeah, it was very stressful.
And then, so go ahead and tell what happened after. Like, I knew I'm one of those people. I'm paranoid a little bit about, especially work situations. So I made sure I got documentation from your dad's doctor of like we were there. This is his dad's condition, everything. So make sure that we had proof when we went back that it really was an emergency, and that's why we had to go.
So long story short, we got back in town. I called my boss and I said, I'm back in town. When do you want me to come back? She said, come on in. She goes, we need to talk. That's right then and there is when I'm like, okay,
yeah.
I mean, I felt it.
Red flag.
Had to give the key to her to train another employee that'll become, because we were training other employees become managers anyway. But she's like, just leave the key and we'll have so-and-so take some shifts. So I was kind of hesitant there. But then I got back and she said that, I knew it was going to happen. And as she fired me.
Yeah, I was sitting in the car because we literally just got back into town, and I don't think we'd gone home yet. And so we stopped there on our way, and you came busting out the door, and you got in the car and said, I just got fired. And I'm like, okay, whatever. No, really, what'd she want? And you were like, no, she fired me. And I'm like, what?
Yeah, but again, that was a low point. We made it through. Uh, some years went through. I worked at other places, and then I seen that place was hiring, so I went up. This is back when they still had paper applications.
Right.
I got the paper application. She gave me one, all right, and she hired me back, and we had a decent working relationship the whole time I was there.
And I always hated her anyway.
Yeah, but I mean, she made up for it, and then like if I see her at the store or something, we'll say hi.
Here's the thing. You can
We'll be
shit
fine.
on me all day long and I'll take it. But you do my husband or my kids wrong, and you are my sworn enemy forever. I don't care.
But they did right. She did right by taking me back in and
Not as a
I was a manager.
a shift manager, not the assistant manager, which is what you were before.
Well, just because our other friend had that.
Anyway, but the whole purpose of this story is because when my stepbrother moved in with us the second time, it was mainly because we needed him to pay rent. You know, we needed him to help out with bills and stuff. And he wasn't working at the time, so we got food stamps, which helped a little. Um, so that was the whole like, and then his girlfriend got a new girlfriend, and she wanted to move in, and I'm like, we can't afford to feed anybody else. And he was like, well, she's got food stamps too, so she can pitch in and help out around the house and stuff. And because he had gotten a job at that point, and it was a damn mess. That was a disaster. I told him from the get go because Lizard volunteered to give up her room to her uncle. And then when the girlfriend moved in, she was like, "What? I didn't agree to this one, but it is what it is." We're kind of behind the eight ball at that point. And I told him, I was like, I don't care what you're an adult, do you, as long as you're paying, your way, I don't care. But don't bring drugs in my house. I don't want it around my kids. And if something is found in my daughter's room, even if she's not staying in there, I could lose my kids. I was like, don't bring drugs in my house. Well, one day I was in there looking for something of Lizard's because her stuff was still in there. We didn't have anywhere to put her clothes and things. And I found a bag of weed, which nowadays weed's not a big deal, but at the time, again, in my child's room,
Big
not
deal. Big deal.
big deal, not okay. And so I kicked him out, and I don't feel bad about it.
I don't think we've talked to him since.
I don't even know where he is.
No,
that was, gosh, 10 years ago.
Too long ago. Yes.
But he got pissed that I wouldn't just, let him do whatever he wanted in my child's room. And that's the only thing I said. Don't bring drugs in the house. You keep them in your car, whatever you do you, but don't bring it in the house. And I don't think that's too much to ask of somebody. Nope. I really don't.
No, especially when you're staying at somebody's place for food stamps, really.
And then the next one was my cousin, who has had a long history of drug abuse. And he was trying to be clean, I guess, or whatever, needed a place because he had nowhere to go. Again, I have a very large, squishy heart, and especially for people down and out, because we've been there.
Again, another stray.
And we let him stay for a few months, and do you remember why it all?
I really don't.
Went to crap.
I don't. I mean, it did. I don't think it was as bad as the other one.
No, but he's also, I think, bipolar.
And he wasn't medicated.
No, and he's got a lot of. It's just one of those things where something happened and went wrong, and then again he won't talk to us. He blocked me on Facebook, and I was just like, I don't know why you're pissed.
That's major when somebody blocks you on Facebook. That's major.
He started putting something on Facebook that I stole all of his stuff because he's a tattoo artist, and he's actually a very, very talented one. And I was like, dude, I packed up all your stuff for you because you just left with nothing. And it's all on the porch in your duffel. Just come pick it up. And he's like, well, I'm going to get some people to come with me in case you try to jump me. Dude, really? Why?
We have no energy for that.
We don't want you to live here, but I don't wish you harm. I mean, good gracious. But anyway, we have a long history of strays. So it's like we can relate to that part of the movie too. Like you were kind of a stray. Moving here 1,000 miles away.
It was not. I had a place to live. I met you. All right, and we already. I don't think we've discussed that part as far as I was a werewolf, right? You were a werewolf hunter.
That is, yes, the kids asked when they were very, very young, how did we
But I
meet?
was not a stray.
Sure, sure, you say that. But um I was a werewolf hunter way, way back in the day, and I found this werewolf in the woods near my house.
That was me.
And something about him just looked different. And so instead of killing him, I cured him.
All I can remember is I just wanted to eat her. Her skin looked good.
I do have nice skin.
Yeah. Then she shot me with an arrow, and that was it.
Yep, and I healed him.
Yeah.
And
Well, it was a dart. It was an arrow. It was a dart.
his little hairy self has been with me ever since.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's the story we told our kids, and they believed it for probably a decade almost. I mean, because
Yeah.
Lizard was only 2 when we got together,
Yeah,
and
going on 3.
Mallow was 5. And so they were little and they believed it because, when kids, we've always been kind of a bullshitters, you will tell crazy, especially you. You're very clever and you come up with these crazy things on the fly.
I think today or yesterday was like my 20th anniversary of moving here.
Oh, it was.
Yeah.
Well, happy anniversary.
Thank you. Thank you. Happy Missouri-versary.
Midwest anniversary.
Yes, Midwest anniversary. But yeah, I've been here. June of '03 is when I moved here.
We have to watch out for him on full moon still sometimes, but yeah, he's pretty tame now.
Yeah,
for
pretty.
the most part. But
Depends what we're talking about.
Well, right. Well, I think we're gonna leave that one here for just a minute, and we're gonna come back really soon and discuss what's been going on in the world today, because there's a lot to unpack there.
Yeah.
So come on back, y'all, and come see us at Big Mama's house again soon. And everyone is welcome and everyone is family.
Oh.
Bye, y'all.